Hey, welcome back, Sabscribers. It's me, Sab, here again with another episode of Suffering of Silence, as always. For those of you who are watching the video episodes, thank you. It's a lot of work just to create them. But today, as some of you might see, I am actually wearing my traditional Hmong clothes. I may not be wearing them correctly, but I am wearing them. I wanted to make this episode. I actually had something completely different planned, but sometimes I get these like sudden urges to like create different episodes that I like. I don't know. It just is kind of based off of the state of my, just the moment. Just sometimes like in the moment, like the state of my mental health is usually kind of what determines what I end up talking about and topics that I discuss. But today I wanted to like, I had something totally different planned for this next episode, but I wanted to make this episode because um it is Hmong New Year, and I just went and celebrated a little bit. Well, I just went to Hmong New Year. That's it. I don't really want to say that I celebrated it because I only went for like an hour. I just wanted to like talk a little bit about like my experience just in general as a Hmong American, and just like some of like the things that I find really difficult and challenging. If you've ever listened to any of the episodes of my podcast, especially like the ones I put out in like May in regards to like my the AAPI Heritage Month, um I talk a little bit more about how I identify with being Asian American, but it's like I can't go back and change that. I can't go back and change the decisions that I've already made. I especially, it's even more difficult for me to like, it's even more difficult for me because it's my dad that's Hmong, and not having my dad anymore really like just essentially puts the cherry on top of the hurt and the pain. um and I I haven't worn my traditional Hmong clothes since I was a child, like very young, probably like in high school. Because there was a year that we went to Hmong New Year, and that was like me and my sister, and she actually got me dressed. Um, because like my mom, she's not Hmong, so she doesn't know exactly like how to put on Hmong clothes, and there's a lot of like intricate things that are part of the outfits, and my mom isn't that she's just not an expert in it, you know? And I don't shame her for it. I don't hate her for it because it's not it's not her cultural like tradition to wear these clothes. But in some ways, you know, like it inspires me more. It just shifts my perspective on how I date people, and how I want to raise my children. It definitely makes me shift my perspective on how I date people and who I choose to date, because you know, I want to be able to date someone who can like share with me what their cultural like background, like, you know, just some cultural traditions. Um and I don't know if I can, like, I'm not the best person to be able to share those things. And I'm going to learn. I promised myself that I would learn, and I promised myself that I was going to do more to feel more aligned with my cultural background. And I feel like I'm doing the best I can with the tools that I do have, and I'm trying because I hope that when I do have kids one day, like I can share these things with them and have those experiences with them. Um and I think it's like important to me for sure to like try to continue this and like carry it on as much as I can. And it just makes me like want to hold on to the things that I do know, and like force me even more to learn more about my culture. Um, because I want to like I see relationships in general, like whether it's to date someone or just friendships. I definitely see them as a collaboration. Like my friends bring certain things from their cultural history and their cultural background, and I bring some of my own. And I want to be able to share those things with each other. And I think that's one of the best things about life. Um, and like while I was looking up videos and just things on how to dress myself and wear traditional Hmong clothes, I actually came across some like I wish that there were more videos out there that actually went more in depth of like how to put on the clothes and how to dress and how to like just in general. Like I wish there were more ways that I could learn about my culture. So I don't really have those resources now that, my dad's gone. And of course, like my mom isn't going to be an expert in that. But again, like I want to be able to have those shared experiences before I even have kids with someone, because I want to be able to like teach them those things as well as they get older. Um and so I was like watching these videos of girls like talking about how it was it's literally like an honorable like experience to have your mom like dress you in your traditional Hmong clothes, and like it was like making me so emotional. Like it made me cry because like she was just talking about how it put into perspective for her that like her mom is just getting older, and she may not have these experiences for much longer with her mom. And on top of that, like, she's like, someone needs to come marry me right away so that I can actually wear my traditional clothes and have my mom dress me for my wedding. And like I thought that was really sweet. But it makes me more emotional because it's like not because like I can't have those moments with my mom, but because like I can't have those moments with my dad. I know I'm not gonna be able to have those moments with my mom because my mom doesn't this is not her cultural tradition, but like I know I wish I could have at least had those experiences with my dad. And, like that was always one thing that was really hard for me to get to like grieve, was just realizing like my dad wouldn't be there when I get married and when I have kids. And like how unlucky I felt that like I wouldn't be able to share those experiences with him anymore, or ever, I mean. And like it took a really hard time for me to like accept that and realize it. And just like I mean, it just took a long time for it to feel real to me. And like watching those videos of those girls getting dressed with their mom, and like it of course reminded me of like the times that my sisters would get me dressed for Hmong New Year, or just in my traditional clothes to go take pictures. And like I wish I could still find the picture that we used to have on our fridge of me and my sisters. Um I was maybe like 4 years old in the picture, and my sisters were like in high school. And my sister dressed me up in like the cutest little outfit. And it was just so adorable to me because I'm like, I still remember that day. Like us getting dressed, her dressing me, and like it like literally breaks my heart because I wish I could like experience that again with them. And I wish like I wish I had people in my life that I could experience those things with. Um and it's just something about like putting on traditional clothes that just like gets me emotional. um it definitely does make me feel more connected to like my Hmong culture, but it also makes me feel like more it also emphasizes on how disconnected I am from my culture as well. So it's a bittersweet moment. And I also was feeling super self-conscious today because I'm like, I know my Hmong clothes are very, like, very, very traditional. Like, these were pieces that, like, my aunt in Thailand made for me and sent them um when I was younger, when I was like a kid. And I never got to wear them because I didn't fit them. And you know, when I look at other people's like Hmong clothes, they look so modern, so beautiful. Like, I can't even wear like the traditional like coins and like the jewelry with the coins and all, like the accessories with the coins and all that, and the beads and stuff, because I don't have that. Because again, like, that wasn't something that like my mom knew how or where to purchase those things. Like, what I have now is just literally like the few things that my dad uh bought, and then like stuff that my aunt hand sewed and sent here to America for me. And it's like, I wish that, I mean, of course I wish that I had like aunts and uncles that were more, that could show me and teach me these things as well. And it's like, but I never had that because of what happened to my dad's family. And like, then I start to think about like everything, and like, it all makes sense, and I don't make excuses as to why I didn't try to be more in tuned and aligned with my cultural background. But I want to be more in tuned and aligned with my culture, with my Hmong culture. But I also know that like there's just a space of uncomfortability that I'm gonna have to go through, and I need to prepare myself for that, because if I want to commit to like really learning about myself and learning about my cultural history and my background, I have to be comfortable with going through the uncomfortable parts of it. And it's uncomfortable to me to have to be like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. Hey, I don't know anything about my culture. Hey, I don't know how to speak Hmong. I don't know how to even put on my traditional clothes. And like, I don't know where to find my traditional clothes. It's uncomfortable to have to admit to that, but I I know that's the first step into like learning what learning more about my culture. And I just I don't know if I'm mentally or emotionally ready for that yet, because it's going to unpack like a huge piece of like unhealed trauma for me, and it's going to unpack like the grief of losing my dad, and maybe even mourning the fact that I never got the chance to meet my grandparents and my uncles and aunts, and just going down a whole thing of history. Like, you know, I think it's like super unfortunate that I could never meet my aunts and uncles. And like, my dad's family history literally sounds like a fucking movie. I've always struggled with this piece of my identification, and really like, I'm not sure what direction to go. Like, I will like it's I feel like it's like one, literally learning about my cultural background and like traditions, and learning all of those things is not going to change the fact that I still feel ashamed in myself for not having learned it sooner, or having been proud of it sooner. I feel like I'm always going to carry that guilt with me of not, and that shame of not knowing and not loving that part of me sooner. Um like, I don't know how else I can explain that. Like, I look at other people and how they are so proud and so prideful in their cultural background and their, and their roots and their history. And I'm always like envious of it, because I'm like, I wish I could be that way. I wish I could I wish I could truly feel so prideful in my cultural background because I feel like I know and I'm so in tune with it. And sometimes, like, it feels like imposter syndrome. Like, I totally feel like a fraud when I'm wearing these clothes or when I'm partaking in certain things. Like, even my tattoos make me feel like a fraud. Like, I have all these Hmong tattoos, but I don't really feel like I know enough about my Hmong culture. And it just really, it really sucks. It really hurts. Um, I hope to, maybe that's just something I need to work on. And my advice is always like when I talk to like my nieces about these things, because my nieces are mixed, um and they talk about how like they don't feel like they are black enough. And I always tell them like I can't really speak to that for you because I'm not a voice for the black community, but I do want you to understand that like even on your Laotian, your Lao side, you don't have to feel like you're not enough, because we're living in a generation where you have to kind of create your own definition of what you feel like makes you and identifies you as an Asian American or a Lao American. And I always like to give people advice on things that I like to give people the advice that I don't like to give myself or take for myself. And I always, it's like, yeah, I can always think that like, oh, I can make my own definition of what it means to be Hmong and what it means to be Lao. But underneath all of that, like, it's not that it's a facade, but it's just like it still doesn't fix the problem of like I can say that all I want, but it's still not gonna be okay to me to and I still don't feel good about the fact that I will never feel like I belong in either, you know? And how can I change that? Because I can't just keep saying to myself, like, the way I identify as Hmong or the way I identify myself as Lao is enough. Because, like, I continue to feel like I'm missing something, that I'm not enough, that something's missing, that it's almost just a cover up for, like, how I really feel. And I would rather not feel that way. I don't know. Like, I think I need to uncover and unpack more of like, what does it mean for me? Am I just, I feel like I'm always going to feel like I'm not enough until I work through that and I figure out exactly like what it is that makes me feel like I'm not good enough. And like maybe what I need to do is accept the shame that I have for not having embraced that part of me sooner than later. Um, and I think what like there's people in the world that can just overlook the fact that like they can work through this and they can be okay with themselves for not being as intertwined with their culture. And like for me, it's not that easy to get over because I pride myself so much on being who I am and being mixed and being like I pride myself so much with it because I also like I'm very like I want to be very family orientated. And I think losing my dad just made it emphasized more on how much I want to be more aligned with my Hmong culture. And it's not that it's wrong if you decide that you don't want to, learn more about your culture and like you feel but you still feel like you have the I essentially don't feel like I have the right to identify myself as Hmong because I don't know enough. And I need to stop feeling that way because my I just don't want to feel that way anymore. Like I'm tired of feeling that way about myself because I know that I genuinely and unintentionally am not like trying to misidentify myself. And it's also very hard because I also want to stay true to like who I am and like the interests that I have and my own experience as an Asian American. I don't know. I just feel like everything is so, there's so many complex layers to this. And I feel like it's easier for me to shame myself and discredit myself for not being culturally in tune than to just like face the uncomfortability of having to learn it. And I need to be willing to accept that part. Like until I accept that shame in myself of not learning these things as a child and embracing this part of me as a child, then I will never be able to like get over the feeling of not being good enough or not Hmong enough or not Lao enough. I don't know. Maybe one of these days I will work through this and I will no longer feel that way. I just wonder if people feel the same way. Like, I wish that these conversations could be had more in my culture. And I wish I had more like people that were like, I wish I had more Hmong friends, or I wish I was more in touch with my cousins that I do have. And I wish, like, even my own siblings, like, I wish I was more like in touch with them. And I think, like, I might have said this in like my AAPI Heritage Month episodes, but I feel like for me personally, like, I feel like when I meet like other Asian people here in my hometown, like, especially like the women, I feel like they're super abrasive to me. And God, this is gonna sound so controversial to say. It's gonna be a hot take. But I feel like there's always like a level of like hatred that they give me before they know me. And it kind of like gets me. I think that also is why like I stay away from a lot of like Asian people in general because I feel like they prejudge me very often and like it kind of gets me, it makes me super self-conscious because again, like I also feel like I'm not Asian enough in general. Um, Not even to like break it down to the level of like I already know I don't feel loud enough and I don't feel Hmong enough when I'm in those spaces. Like, but I also feel like I'm not Asian enough in so many different spaces, especially when I see other Asian people, because I don't fit the typical mold of what an Asian person is. I would say, and like like it kind of makes me freaking self-conscious as hell. Like I wish I could have more Asian friends, but it's like when I try to befriend people, especially here in Milwaukee, like I feel so judged by them. And I feel like they don't like, you know how you just know when someone doesn't like you? Because I feel like around here, like in Milwaukee, like you're either like a hella studious Asian person or you're like hood as fuck. And I don't want to be neither one. Like, I just want to be like, I just want to be interested in the shit that I'm interested in. And but when I meet like other Asian people from like other cities, like they're so accepting of me. Like they're so sweet, they're so kind. And I feel like every time it's like an Asian person from Milwaukee, they have like a different perspective of how they like view things and how they look at me. I don't know how to explain it. It always feels like some unspoken tension between me and like other Asian women and it kind of like makes me uncomfortable because I'm like I'm literally the last person to ever feel that with because I am there's like enough room for all of us. Like, I just feel like in certain spaces when I meet other Asian American women in that are from here in Milwaukee, I feel like they have this sort of sense of like, she's not like us. She's not one of us. She didn't grow up with us. She's not like they either look at me and think, "Oh, she's ghetto as fuck," or "Oh, she's not studious enough." Like, and I'm just like, I'm neither. Like, oh my God, like I wish you would just get to know me for me. And like, I'm also not, I don't know, I just always feel like I don't belong. I never feel like I belong. And I know like I keep saying that. I say that in a lot of situations. And it's like, yes, I'm gonna learn to accept that. But sometimes, like, to be very honest, it's so easy to feel insecure when you don't feel like you belong in places and spaces. And I wish that like I could have I just why do I want it so bad? Like why do I want to be so accepted in a community that doesn't seem to want to accept me? I don't know how to explain that feeling, but it just like there's just always like an unspoken tension between me and other Asian women. Like I feel like that's happened to me often. Um and and it's not to say that I have never had Asian American friends, because I have. I've had amazing ones, but I only feel that tension when I'm in like here in my hometown. When I go to other places, like when I go out to like other cities and I meet other people, like it's literally a moment to bond. Like I've literally made friends because people have seen my tattoos and they're like, "Hey, that's something that I've seen my grandma have. Like she has those on her rug." Or like, they see my tattoos and they're like, "What? Like you're Hmong? Oh my God, you're Lao?" And it becomes like a fucking amazing moment to like bond and like meet people. But I feel like here in Milwaukee, like people look at me and they're like, I don't know what it is. Like it feels like they just automatically judge me and think things of me rather than like approach me and talk to me like a fucking person. And I'm a very nice person. Like I'm very sweet, very kind, very chatty. Like it'll be a shock if I don't leave a place and like make a friend or have a conversation with a stranger. But I feel like when I step into like dominantly like Asian American spaces here in Milwaukee, like I feel like I don't belong. I feel even more out of place. And like I said, there's like an unspoken tension between me and them, especially the women. And it just really sucks. Really fucking sucks because I actually, like, if you knew me, like, if you actually took the time to talk to me and like get to know me, then you would know that I literally am so self conscious. I'm not even someone that would ever consider myself a competition to you because I probably want to learn things from you. And I want to be more aligned with my Asian culture. But that's also why, like, I've always felt so isolated in those spaces and in those places, which is why I feel like a majority of my friends are not Asian American. And it really does break my heart though, because I wish I could have that. And, like, I truly believe in the whole idea of like, sometimes, like, you don't always, some people don't have like, they don't feel like they belong in the family that they're given, that they're forced to have. And you kind of want to go out there and you want to create your own family by creating friendships with people that make you feel like you belong and feel like they align with you more. And I feel like I've done that, but I feel like there's always like a piece missing for me, and that is the Asian American aspect of it. Um but I feel like that's always going to feel like an empty part of me. And hopefully one day I could change that. I have yet to see the whole world, so like that could very well change. And as much as I say, like, oh, I want to stay connected to my cousins and stuff, and I want to learn things from them too, and I want to feel more connected with them. Um, and like as I'm going through this like journey of discovering myself, and I feel like that's always going to be something like I don't feel like it's ever going to be just like, oh, I've reached this level of growth and that's it for me. Like I'm always going to want more, and I'm always going to have that hunger and that desire to grow and learn more and find more to to add to who I am and to add to my identity. And maybe that's my problem, right? Like maybe that's my problem, is that like I'm never going to be just content with staying the same all the time. Like maybe what I need to do is just reflect on how happy I should be and how grateful I should be for what I do have, and the parts of me that I have found. But maybe that's me settling, and I refuse to settle. But I thought I was going to get I think that's all I really have to say right now. I mean, I thought I was going to get more emotional about this um while I recorded this episode, but I think I'm okay right now. I just I guess ultimately my whole thing is just I wish that my dad was here to celebrate Hmoob New Year with me. And it gets me emotional because I haven't worn my traditional clothes since I was a kid, and let alone gone to a Hmoob New Year since I was a kid. And when I would go, I had my sisters there to help dress me and help get me ready. And now I don't have that privilege, and I don't have my dad to share these things with. So I just hope that one day, when I have kids, I'm able to be in a more comfortable space with my identification as a Hmong person. And I'm able to actually share these things and experiences with my kids and have those moments where I get to dress my daughter in her traditional Hmong clothes and her traditional Lao clothes. And I can't wait to have those experiences with them. And I have a couple ideas. I have a couple ideas in mind as far as like clothing goes, and just some inspiration that I'm feeling. Um, but I hope that one day I get to experience these things um, with my daughter and my son even. um, but yeah, hopefully like this makes some sense to people, and just like I said, I just wanted to share these raw thoughts now that I've gone to Hmong New Year and I've had the experience, and I just wanted to share a very vulnerable part of me, um, an insecurity of mine. And I hope that by next Hmong New Year, I can work through these insecurities and feel more confident in my identification as a Hmong person. And I can't wait to get dressed again in my traditional clothes. But yeah, um, as always, you guys can find me on TikTok and Instagram, even though we hear that TikTok is going away soon. Just follow the podcast on all streaming platforms and on Instagram then. My social media handles is at Suffering of Silence Pod. And obviously, you're going to be able to find Suffering of Silence anywhere that you listen to podcasts. Video episodes are going to be uploaded onto YouTube, and some may get them on Spotify as well. But thank you guys for rocking with me through most of this year. Um, I can't wait to see y'all in the new year, and I'm ready. I'm ready for what's to come in the next few episodes that I have planned for you guys. And I will talk to y'all soon. Thanks for being subscribers.